Hey guys, it's Amy. I came on this evening because I wanted to talk about the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing and why all the headlines had picked up the 60th year anniversary and made it headlines 2 days ago on the 15th. So if you're new here, guys, Gematria will show you how to read through these bullshit headlines because as soon as I seen this, 60 years after four little girls were killed, I already know four is the number associated with death. When you learn this, you're going to know it too. And I also know that 60 is a big number associated with black people. And it's sick how the government operates and puts out this propaganda. And you're going to see it even worse when I get into this post. But all the headlines, all these different journalists we have, they all somehow just got the same ideal to cover this story on the 60th anniversary. And they're telling you that the KKK attacked some black people, right? So Ku Klux Klan is 60. The N word is 60. We know that's a big number with black history. We know it's a big number. Just like police is 60, order is 60. We're on our 60th anniversary, right? So this church is a big part of the civil rights movement because it was where MLK used to go and speak at a lot. And the police commissioner at the time, we'll talk about him in a minute, they called him Bull. He was leading segregation and pushing segregation really hard. He ended up getting promoted a year and a half, or yeah, about a year and a half after this bombing occurred. And you'll see why he got promoted for for his tribute or contribution to fighting segregation. So this bombing, if you'll just take a look here, 16th Street Baptist Church, Civil Rights Movement. They both have the 270 and the 99. Check out this 243 right here. This bombing came 243 days after MLK's birthday. So Martin Luther King was born on January 15th. And this bombing came 243 days later. Keep that right there in your back of your head because I'm going to show you how patterns work. So it also happened on the 258th day of the year, leaving 107. We know that's a number of the beast and a ritual sacrifice number, but Martin Luther King also equals 258. So the bombing happened on the 258th day of the year. 258th day of the year. And it was also 243 days after his birthday when he was a big part of the civil rights movement, and so was this church. So they mock you by telling us that the KKK planted 19 sticks of dynamite. 19. So think about 9/11. How many hijackers did we have? 19. And then we got COVID. And here we are in COVID 23, but it's still called COVID 19. There's a reason that they love 19. They also tell us that it happened at 1022, which is a number, zeros don't count in gematria, so we can tell that's a very satanic number. But in the history books, it's wrote that there was between 14 and 22 injured. Apparently, they don't know the real number of how many people got injured that day, so they just took a guess and said, it's between 14 and 22. Well, bomb equals 14 and 22. Slave equals 14. The off of the N word is 22. So can we guess why there was 22 people injured by this bomb? Now the government ended up making this church a national landmark. They waited 42 years to do it, guys. 42 years and 158 days. So if you're a veteran here, you already know. But if you're new here, 42 is another number that is associated with black history. Homicide's 42. Jackie's 42. War number 42. Slavery's 42. Tuskegee's 42. Cosby Show's 42, Huxtable's 42, Malcolm X's 42, and Martin's 42. N-word's 42. Black History Month's in February. February equals 42. Racial slurs, 42. They actually made it a landmark on the 20th of February. Brotherhood of Death is 220. Skull and Bones is 20/2. That's the day they made it a landmark. This preacher's name is actually 20/2. The history books talk about him too, and it says that he was asked to serve this church, but it doesn't say who asked him. So who went to this man and asked him to be part of this church that just so happenly was part of a bombing after that? A year later, if even a year, because he was asked to come in the 62 and this happened in 63. This guy actually ended up dying in a pattern that we talk about a lot. He died 73 days or a span of 74 days from his birthday when they were done with him. They killed him off. Now, the KKK, if you'll notice, their emblem here looks a whole lot like the Knights Templar and what we call today the Red Cross, which funnels money through disasters like what's going on in Maui right now. Headquartered in Washington, D.C., same place as the CIA. Now, that department that actually decided to certify that church was founded on 3/3. So we can see how this is all fitting in the pattern, you know. KKK's 3/3. The government founded that department on 3/3. They're the ones that got to make it a national landmark after the bombing. And now here we got all this headlines on the 60-year anniversary of the Ku Klux Klan bombing it, so they say. They bombed the church on the 33rd parallel north. These people are so sick. So if you go on to read about it, guys, they say that this was Martin Luther King had spoke out against the Commissioner of Public Safety, Bull Connor, because he was enforcing racial segregation throughout the city through violent acts. A bombing's a violent act. So here's the guy they said was really enforcing it. Look at his name, guys. That same pattern we teach about, 144 and 54. Hunter Biden just got charged with gun charges 144 days after his birthday. We had a football player die in 144 days from either his birthday or his draft right last weekend, right before football season came open. We had a guy who was a NFL agent. He died. His name was just like this, 14454. These are patterns that we talk about all the time because we talk about the mark of the beast. So now we got Bull Connor, 144, 54, 234, mark of the beast. This bombing actually came 66 days after from this dude's birthday on the 258th day of the year. So on the 258th day of the year, 66 days after Bull's birthday, this church was bombed. He actually gets promoted a year later, 126 days from the anniversary, y'all. His name's 126. And he got to become president of the Alabama Public Service Commission. 126 days from that anniversary of that bombing. His full name fits right on in there with African American. He ended up dying 243 days from his birthday. Just like the bombing happened 243 days after MLK's birthday. Of course, they tell you it was because of the Civil Rights Movement. But was it really the Central Intelligence Agency? The CIA? Now, I did a post a while back on Martin Luther King. Now, he was born on January 15th. He was assassinated, execution, 44 on 4/4 is when he was killed in a shooting. Kills 44, shootings 44. You can see where they sacrificed him right here at the Lorraine Motel. He was killed at age 39. And then we celebrate him on MLK Day, which is 33. Just like we sing that these are the same numbers that we're talking about in this post right here. A post that I done back in January. And now we're talking about these same numbers on the 60th anniversary of this crap. It's the same numbers over and over and over. I lost my 33s, y'all. There they are. There's your 33s. So we have MLK Day now. That's 33. Now look. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 258. Just like the bombing happened on the 258th day of the year. Just like it happened 66 days from that police commissioner's birthday. I Have a Dream, 66. Talking about these same numbers over and over, guys. Look, he was killed 4 years and 220 days after his I Have a Dream speech. Did we not just talk about the 220? And that's the day that they decided to certify the church a national monument with 4 girls killed in it. And then MLK was killed 4 years and 220 days after his I Have a Dream speech. Like, these are the same numbers over and over, guys, that we talk about all the time. Look, he got a Nobel Peace Prize, and they sacrificed him. Just like they sacrificed off the preacher 73 days from his birthday. It's the same numbers over and over. Same numbers over and over. But guys, if you learn gematria, you can see through the bullshit. And when you see headlines like this, when they're talking about 42 or 60 when it comes to black people, you already know it's mockery and bullshit in your face. That's why they're telling you, that they're going to reflect back on this bombing on the 60th anniversary that the KKK bombed the black people. But guys, I will catch you on the next one. I hope y'all have a good evening.